Welcome to the Rockhound Podcast, and it's actually our birthday episode, ironically enough. So, 52
Woo!
episodes of the Rockhound Podcast, and we actually have a very special guest today. So, go ahead and take it away.
Hey, my name is Bryan Major, the crystal collector, also known as, and I dig crystals and I do videos, and I've been doing both of those for quite some time now. And the video thing kind of was something I always liked to do as just entertainment, really, for myself and just a few friends. And then it kind of blew up, and I just took it from that, and I'm still taking it from that, and just doing whatever I can on the social networking spectrum, and it's going pretty good. So,
well, you're doing great so far, so keep it up.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
Welcome to the podcast. We're so excited to get chatting with you. And welcome everybody out there. Thank you for joining us. We're so happy that you are. Where are you joining us from? Who are you? And what are you doing? Are you rock hounding, or are you working in your studio? Let us know. Put that into the comments. And I am Karen, out here on the beachy Oregon coast with Ozone Fine Art Ventures. Kurt?
My name is Kurt with Rockhounding.Adventures out here in Western Colorado. Theo?
I'm on a level with all of you. I don't have a fake name this week because
I wasn't sure what to call
I'm just Theo Kellison this week because Theo was so freaking excited to have the crystal collector on that. That was like total tunnel vision. Like, seriously, one of my favorite channels on YouTube. It's awesome, like, sitting with you right now.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm Kyle with World of Rockhounds. And that is our introductions. Karen?
All right. We've got the shouts, of course. First of all, thank you so much, Lapidary Dave and Sweet Jim, for coming on for a super show last week. That was a blast. And we can't wait to have you on again to talk about the fire agates some more. I'm sure that we're all going to have a little bit more material next time. Rookie Rockhounding was thankful for the podcast getting him through his mowing. He was mowing the forest in his backyard, and stating that Dave and Jim are seriously rad rock people. You can hear him saying that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have no problems hearing that.
With a much better accent. And I know that we all agree with you, Jesse. Julie McKenna cannot wait for Jim's YouTube channel, and I think we all concur on that as well. And loved hearing Jim and David's stories. Currently Rock Hounding enjoyed the podcast, saying that it had good flow, and he wants to see the private video. Yes. Crawdad and Rusty, he said he's learned so much watching Lapidary Dave's videos and tours. Great podcasts. He just loved it. Scott Lambright says the podcast is the highlight of his weekend, and that he looks forward. He looks forward to it when he gets home from work on Fridays. He oftentimes isn't able to catch it live. And he said that this episode, though, with David and Jim was the most entertaining and crushed it. Well, he hasn't seen this week's video. And he wished us congratulations on the 1-year mark as well. And now the rest of the shouts by request in a black felt hat and as an auctioneer. And Hasu Andre, Lola Joan, Ivan Lopez, and all Doug Best Show. And Allison, Mineral Land, and Alice, and a Mineral Land has a birthday coming up real soon. And a Greek Explorers over on that island, creative rocks, and the Rockman digging it as they go. And a Tarnished Viking in the chat, and their chat, everywhere, chat, all digging the show. And a happy birthday, Rockhound Podcast, 1 year birthday, Rockhound Podcast, so digging the show. So, and them's the shouts. So
I'm so sad I didn't get to witness that in real time.
You will tomorrow.
I know, but anyway.
Thank you, Karen.
Yes.
And
how was everyone's week? So we'll start with you, Bryan.
Oh, it's been pretty good. It's this time of year, I am normally here at my home in Wilmington, North Carolina, and usually about 6 to 8 weeks I'm here washing rocks and prepping up. I got a couple girls that do a lot of eBay and Facebook sales, and so I have to kind of regroup and get that stuff reorganized after traveling all year and get ready to get back on the road. So I've just kind of been doing a little bit of that, same old kind of thing.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
That's got to be fun traveling so much.
Oh yeah. It's a dream.
I was gonna say, living the dream.
Yes.
Sweet. My week was phenomenally crazy, as traditional. Wound tighter than a barbed wire fence at a merry-go-round. So orders and commissions coming in. I've got a secret project that I'm working on. Again, cue eye roll for the audience.
No, we can actually talk about that today.
Can we?
Like,
can we?
Yeah. Like not
cool.
what it is, but yeah, I was actually going to talk about that when it came time for how my week is. So yeah, anyway, sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm working on my Maker's Challenge. And also the Iris video collaboration with Theo that was supposed to drop last weekend. And not only is that going to be part of my show and tell, but also part of my words of wisdom. And that's pretty much it. No rest for the wicked. How about you, Kurt?
Out here in Western Colorado, all the snow is finally starting to melt. At least down here below the mountains. So hopefully soon we'll be able to get out and go hiking and rock hounding and so forth. So get some of those videos going. And I've been working on this week's video, which y'all see kind of what it is in the show and tell, and been ordering materials for my Maker's Challenge video. So looking forward towards that.
Kind close.
So that's pretty much. I know. I've been thinking off, and I'm just like, I need to start it. So I'm not doing it last minute. So
we like pressure. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's pretty much been my week so far. So Theo?
My week has been crazy. We're going to Florida for like 2.5, 3 weeks in April, beginning of April. So yeah, I've been rushing because I looked at the calendar and counted, and that means that I need to make 7 videos total before I leave, so that I have enough for my normal Saturday upload, and then have enough videos to post, like, to go up while I'm gone. So I've been fossil hunting, and then we went to the river, and then we did some ammonite hunting, and then I've been doing some shop stuff, like lapidary stuff. And all in the middle of all of that, I'm still working on my Maker's Challenge project, which has been taking a monumental amount of time. I started it like months ago, and I'm not done yet. But yeah, we got out Tuesday, and oh my gosh, I brought one of the rocks with for show and tell, and it was seriously one of the best hunts we've had in so long. Not that we've had bad hunts lately, but man, we just got into so many just nice dark mossy agates and beautiful rainbow jaspers. It was just a good day. That's going up Saturday. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. And so is the announcement video for the Maker's Challenge. So yeah, look out for that on Saturday.
I think we're all looking forward to that. Yes. Thank you everyone for your words for your week. I have been just kind of lazy and still working on one project. It's just I'm finding that certain rose quartz takes a long time to get all those heavy scratches out, and I'm just having a lot of fun with it. But I'm slowly getting there. It's just getting past the 100 and 200 grit stage to get those scratches out, and then after that, it's just downhill. So that is literally all I've been working on, aside from my video that came out this week. But just getting the projects done so I can work on fine-tuning of what I'm going to do for Maker's Challenge, because I still haven't pinpointed what I'm going to do exactly. I am flying by the seat of my pants. But so that was everyone's weeks. Now we can get into the nitty-gritty of asking questions of our awesome guest, Karen.
All right. Yeah. Well, I always like to start off with the question, how in the world did you get into this crazy rock game? So take it away, Bryan.
Okay. Around, in fact, I was going to mention today, I just got out of the water. I went surfing today. So that was kind of when I turned 20 years old, I found the world of surfing, and kind of like rocks later on, I just went nuts with it. And that's about all I did for almost 10 years. And I was about 28 years old, and I would go surfing in the summertime, which I went today. I barely got back up for this podcast because I nap. I was like, I've got to take a nap. And I was hitting the snooze button, but I was like, okay, I'm up, I'm ready now. But so I used to do this thing where I would live at the beach 8 months of the year, wait tables, and in the wintertime I like to snowboard. So I would go back inland to my hometown and work for my dad and snowboard during the winter. And it's kind of funny. What happened was, for the first time, my dad's in the liquor business, so I would just like run his store and work for family wages. If you know anything about that, it's kind of low. They don't but
Yep.
care about the money. I was able to do my thing, go snowboarding every other day. And so I was about 28 years old, and I was inland for the wintertime. And this guy at the Olive Garden, we had this Olive Garden come in. I grew up in sort of a smaller town, and we didn't have much, and Olive Garden was moving in. And I told the manager was coming in to get some of the liquor orders and stuff, and telling me, I overheard him talking about opening up this Olive Garden and, training the servers and stuff. And I started, a light bulb went off, and I'm like, you know what? I'm only going to be here for 3 or 4 months. And, but maybe I could get this job doing that instead of working for my dad and do the snowboard thing, make a little bit more money. So I talked to the guy, and I just said, hey man, I'm a good server. I'll be there. I'll always be on time, but I'm only going to be there 4 months, maybe 5 months, and I'm out. And he was like, well, since I know your dad, blah, 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 so I kind of got in, I got the job, and I only worked, I never have liked working day shifts. I know you're like, what's this got to do with rocks? But you'll see. I never liked working day shifts at serving or waiting tables, because it's just this little money. You go in for an hour and you're out. So I asked the guys, can I just work night shifts? So that was the deal. I worked night shifts. And so it was probably like 3 months in. It was getting to be about the time I'm about to head back to the beach. And the manager, which wrote the schedule, went on vacation. And so the general manager was writing the schedule, and I looked at the schedule, and I had like 5 day shifts. And I was like, no, this is not right. So I went to her, she corrected it, but she comes up to me and she's like, look, could you do me one favor? She's like, you don't have to do it. I remember so specifically. She's like, you don't have to do this, but if you could do me one favor and work this one day, I won't schedule you, for any nights the following week. And so I said, fine, yeah, sure. I'll come in that one day, help you out. So it was that day that I met a girl, and she's got these quartz crystals from Diamond Hill Mine. I didn't know where they were from. I just, I knew they were these quartz crystals, and they were everywhere, like all over the driveway and stuff. And I was thinking, I figured she purchased them, she bought them. And I'm like, man, this girl's maybe, I didn't know anything about rocks, but I was like, that's kind of cool. So I asked her about the crystals, I said, hey, what's this? And she goes, well, I found those. So then I'm thinking, oh, she's pretty cool, but where are you going? So I asked her, you go out west, Mexico, where are you getting these crystals from? And she says, Ancherville, which it was only like 25, 30 minutes from where we were, our hometown. And it kind of blew my mind. And I think it was the very next day we go to Diamond Hill Mine. And this was back before the big amethyst hit. Almost no one was going there, And I think I went for 2 weeks straight every single day.
Oh, man.
I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
No one going. So they were the people that had been doing those machine digs were kind of over the skeletal quartz, so it was everywhere. And I've still got original boxes from those first 2 weeks. I got like 2 or 3 boxes I've never opened. Because I know it's just a bunch of crap, anything. But yeah, so that started that way. And there's a lot more to that story, but that's the way it really got started. And within about 2 or 3 weeks, the owner was like, hey man, you want to become caretaker? He might get 3 to 5 people per week at max, but he needs someone to go down there and check them in. And he's like, it was $15 back in the day. He was like, if you go check them in, you can dig for free. But I just thought it was cool to be a caretaker. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So that's kind of how that began. Yeah.
Sweet.
That's
so
cool.
cool.
That's great. What a
Girl,
cool
a little-
story.
So yeah.
Awesome. All right. How about you, Kurt? You got a question?
Sure. Out of all of the places you've been and all the adventures you've been on, what is your like number one favorite if you're able to like narrow it down?
Ooh.
Tough question. Sorry.
Three
Totally.
places up to mind immediately. Well, that's 4. And I don't know which one's a favorite. I guess the Thunder Bay Amethyst is it's definitely one of those, because the guy had been, it's like now it's a good problem to have, but a lot of people want me to come film their locations, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I, for like a year and a half, was, kept asking me to come up and do some filming at his amethyst spot. He never had sent me any pictures of any amethysts he was finding. He was just, and I'm bad at getting back to messages, because they get loaded some days and they just stack down, then I'm like, oh my gosh. And
No, I totally could see that.
Yeah. And finally he does send me a picture one day of this amethyst, and it's like this big, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Nothing against Canada, but I just didn't feel like going through all the process, So anyway, once I got this picture, I had to go, and I went up there, and the first round was pretty crazy. Like we dug for a week, and it was just nuts. I mean, nothing like I could ever have dreamed. But the best day up there was when I left after the first week. I left there with as much as I could handle, drove to Texas, and I was, I was in Texas. I was at Gail Spann. I don't know if y'all familiar with her. She's got one of the best collections in America, but she was purchasing a piece for me. So I drove all the way to Texas. As I'm in Texas, the owner called me up and he's like, hey man. And he sent me these pictures where he had taken off a lot of the wall, this calcite area, and a whole nother tube of this amethyst showed up.
Oh,
And this was
Gosh.
definitely the pocket of my life, because crazy pockets. The Diamond Hill pocket was nuts. We don't have any video of that stuff back in 2008 or almost any photos, but that was the craziest pocket. But this one was different, because he sends me these pictures of, it was an opening probably 10 foot wide by 8 foot tall, a huge vug. It was
wow.
a cave. I mean, it was just a huge vug of amethyst with points this big hanging off the wall. And I could see
Wow.
it filled up with mud. Normally these pockets completely filled with mud. You're just pulling them out of the mud. But this one only filled up halfway. So the top of it was open. And I could see on top of that layer of mud, crystals that had fell from the ceiling that were just still sitting there. And he didn't touch them. Like, how not touch the crystals? Looked at it, was beyond me. And I asked him, I was like, have you touched that pocket? And he goes, no, man, it's exactly as you see it in the picture. And I'm like, I'll be there in 2 days. All the way to Canada, after being there a week. And that was the craziest pocket, because the first day I was by myself, which I love digging with people, love it. But I was by myself plucking out these crystals after they literally had fell from the pocket, sitting on that mud layer, just who knows how many thousands of years they were just sitting like that, or millions.
Wow.
That was a pretty crazy pocket. Yeah.
Wow.
That would be amazing to see.
yeah, no kidding.
To touch. I don't want to just see. I'd be there in 2 days too.
Crazy. I mean, crawl in this thing and just look around and just, it was something else. Yeah.
Wow.
That sounds insane.
Yeah. Very cool.
I don't know if I would want to leave.
I wouldn't want to leave.
Right. I'll camp here. Thank you.
I guess the bad thing was 2 years ago, he calls me up at the beginning of COVID, like when I don't think anyone was leaving their house that first couple months, that we didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. And he's like, hey man, I want to sell the mine. I won't say how much, but like, I can really kick myself in the butt, because I didn't think he was bluffing, but I just think he'd really do that. And I didn't know when we'd get back into Canada at that point. And I just figured, well, he won't sell it that quick. It's gone. So I'm like,
oh.
The one that got away.
Yeah. They got away. Yep. So.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Way up here and then crashed, yeah.
Right. Theo, what do you got?
Oh, sorry, that'd be my turn. My bad. Okay, so it's amazing to watch your channel because you just go like literally all over the country. You do those digs where everyone's like, yeah, I'll get there some point in my life, and you'll get to all of those places in a year. So what is one place in the US that is on your bucket list for like a hunting spot?
That I haven't been to, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many. As I travel around, especially out west, more than anywhere, you get there and you do a little bit of research and you start to realize there's way more places than you can imagine. And like I go to these like Utah, Nevada, California, all these states out there. There's so many places to go that I still don't know exist. Who knows what I'll get into this year? I actually I went to the Tucson show, and I hadn't been out there in a few years. So I did a couple of videos filming out there, and I met up with these people at it's called the Granada Gallery. And there's some kind of, they got a couple bucks. They're from Germany, and they dig up some of the best fossils and amylites in the world. And they invited me to come out to both of those spots this summer. So I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
They're like that big, and they're just, so they're all excited about, me being up there filming and promoting them. And so that is fun. It'll be fun. We're going to do some a T-Rex spot. I think it's Wyoming, maybe on the border of Wyoming and
I was going to say, that sounds like you're getting close to my neck of the woods there.
Yeah. This year I'm going to try to start off north and stay away from the hot weather. Last year I kind of got sucked into some of that heat and stuff. So I'm going to start with Herkimer and kind of travel across. This year I'm going to go out to, we've got a spot. It's called Vesper Peak. It's in Washington, and they get these garnets that are out of this world, but you've got to take a helicopter ride into there. We're going to do that last year, but this year didn't get out there last year. So looking forward to that one too. That'll be a fun one.
That's cool.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Well, man, if you find yourself in Montana, get a hold of me. I'd be all for taking you out to some spots.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm going to be there. Probably, I don't know exactly, maybe around June or so.
Oh, cool.
I definitely want to hit up the what is it? The Crystal Park again.
Yeah. Seriously, that's crazy. I'm going to be actually going to Crystal Park in June also.
Can hold a lot of people, so I'm going to do a big event, like a big public dig or announcement.
Oh, cool.
Get a bunch of people up there, because that's one of those places where there's some amazing stuff that comes out of there, but every person that dig is not going to find it. But when you get 100 people, 200 people digging, and there's going to be some phenomenal finds,
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I could attest to that. I've gone there like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and sometimes your biggest find of the day is like this. And I actually brought this with me. This is my best find from Crystal Park. It's not like, as far as quartz crystals go, it's nothing like crazy, but this is my best find from Crystal Park.
That's good size. It's got that clarity.
Yeah, here, I'll get in front of it. It's got nice clarity. I was just super excited about the double points. That I pretty much lost my mind when I found that. And of course, I found it before I started my YouTube channel. So
how it goes.
yeah, exactly. So no video record of that one, but
You should do you should reenact it.
Reenact it, yeah. Go to a playground and do it like a dramatic reenactment.
Yeah.
That'd be something. People probably watch that.
Yeah, probably. That's about the kind of stuff that I feel like my viewers have come to expect at this point.
Well, I guess it comes down to my question. So, you do a lot of videos and dig sites in the States and this side of the continent. Do you have any plans to maybe go abroad, overseas?
Yeah. I think travel restrictions are lightening up. I haven't looked lately, but like I say, going to Canada, that's probably the easy one. But I do want to go. I don't know if you guys may or may not be familiar with Patrick Gunderson in Australia. He digs really, really nice amethyst.
Okay.
Yeah, he's probably digging up some of the best amethyst in the world. At least kind of the way I'm used to digging it up. On I wouldn't say a small scale, but just doing similar type searching and prospecting. And he finds some beautiful stuff. And so definitely want to do that. But I think Australia is probably one of the hardest spots to travel to right now.
Yeah.
Pretty tight.
Yeah. So that one, who knows about that spot? But I was in Tucson, and I met a handful of people. I was introduced to a few big mine owners down there in Brazil. That's, I still don't know how those trips would be, but I guess you get with the right people, and everything's prepped out. It can be pretty safe, I guess. So that's in. I'm not saying that's in the works, but that I'm sure I'll end up down there one day. And I do probably if I'm going to hop on a plane and fly somewhere, I've been wanting to go out to the pyrite mine in Spain. That would be a fun. Just the cube pyrites that are just hundreds in the wall. Yeah,
that'd be cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like all three of those places would have surf too. I mean, so you could double down on your pleasure.
I've always said that I'm 44 years old, so I still get around pretty good, but maybe in like 10 more years, 15 more years, when I'm kind of like, I don't know, who knows, but when I'm maybe getting a little burnt out, then I'll just start doing the crazy stuff like Afghanistan or, Pakistan.
There you go.
Hey, if I don't come back, I don't come back, but I'm not ready yet. I want to 2 more years. So
heard that. Yeah. When you're into your longboarding years, like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did anyone else have any more questions? I mean, we still have plenty of time.
Yeah, I do. Actually, I've got a question from Greg D on our Discord, and he wanted to know what's it like having the best job in the world, Bryan?
I'll start off saying this. It's probably not what most people would think. I would rephrase that and say, what is it like to look like you've got the best job? Because that's not a complaint. I love it. But if I would actually show and carry around a live camera all the time of my life, there's a lot of boring aspects to it. There's a lot of travel, a lot of editing, as you probably know how that can get. I'll spend I'll still spend 6 hours, 6 to sometimes 8 hours on a video if it's a 20-minute video, editing that video. And just doing one a week, that's a whole entire day almost of just editing to get one video out. But yeah, I show the prize. It's a lot like surfing. When you're surfing, you're catching a wave that lasts like 5 seconds. When you're digging pockets, they last more than 5 seconds, but the time that you've spent looking for that pocket is 98% of that time. And then 2% of the time you're out there, you're actually finding stuff. And it's worth it, obviously, because I keep doing it. But yeah, that's the part that I think a lot of people don't see because I don't show it. I mean, and why would I? 'Cause they're going to watch that, So yeah, there is. It's a lot of people I think would. There's some people that would do this job, but I think when really people got into my shoes and if they were to shadow what I do, they'd pull out pretty quick. I don't. Yeah,
it's hard work.
Yeah.
I work. I can't say I work 18-hour days because I'm not working nonstop all day for 18 hours, but I kind of am. I take breaks here and there, which is really nice. I can do whatever I want to do when I want to do it for the most part. But being single, just having no kids, not saying that's a good or bad thing, but for me right now, that's not the what's happening. So I spend all my time with work. And something I said I'd never do. I was just going to surf all my life, and and have a good time. And I do very little of that now. But I have a good time. But I do work. It's a lot of hard work. It really is. It's what's it like? I guess that's it.
The surfing analogy is a great one.
Yeah,
you're sitting there in the water for a fair amount of the time waiting for the sets to come, and then you take them on the head instead of like catching waves. And so and then you might find that one really, really great find, and that's your 3 to 5 seconds on a wave, and then and then repeat. Yeah. Rinse and repeat.
2015, I had 2014. No, it was too early. It was early 2015, the Tucson that year. So that would have been like February 2015. I went out to Tucson for the first time, and I seen a few pieces of amethyst that from Diamond Hill Mine, that we had dug, truckloads of it back in 2008. And I still had a lot of material from that by this time. And I seen this piece and it was like, was it $2,500 or no, it was 1,200. It was $1,200. It was this big, but I would sell that piece for like $50. And I was like, wait a minute, what is going on here? More people. And every time I seen a piece of amethyst, it was 20 times the amount of what I thought it was worth, which that's still Tucson pricing. But what happened was it kind of created a monster because I came home and I would usually rent a machine for Diamond Hill for 1 month at a time. And I did work 19-hour days those days because, it's just, as much as you can do during that rental period. But I rented a machine, and the first weekend of that machine, I'm going after the amethyst because it was the first time I don't want to say I have dollar signs in my head, but it was like, man, wait a minute. This kind of, I kind of caught amethyst fever a little bit, like, and I'm like, I'm going to find a pocket, and in the first weekend of the machine rental, 7-8 days, I started to get down to the pit at Diamond Hill, and it rained 8 inches. It was like a record amount. It was like, I think 15 inches, and it was crazy flooding, the worst our state's ever seen. And so it took like 2 weeks to get that water out of the pit, and then it rained again. I mean, it was just crazy. So by the end of the month, when machines due, I had not found one pocket of anything, nothing.
Man.
So, man, I got to go another month. So I went another month, same thing, rain, nothing. So I went 3 months, then I went 4 months, and I couldn't do this right now. If someone gave me the machine, I would turn it down. But I was like, that was 7 years ago. So I'm hitting about 30, what's that, 30, 36 or something still. So I could still do those kind of crazy hours. And, but after 4 months of digging, I did find the skeletal druzy stuff, no amethyst, nothing, not one pocket of amethyst. And I'd found so much of that skeletal stuff, I'd probably break an even just maybe, because we found a lot of that. But at the time, the owner of the property, she wasn't really into night digging. So we weren't doing any night digging during that whole 4 months. They were supposed to pick up that machine after a 4 month rental on a Saturday, and Friday, they were supposed to pick it up Friday, and that morning it snowed. And snow at Diamond Hill is like extremely rare. They get it once every 10 years, maybe. And
wow.
So they couldn't pick up the machine, right? So they were going to pick it up Monday, which meant I had the machine for another weekend. So I dug, and then Sunday night, right before dark, I hit a pocket of amethyst.
Oh my gosh.
Next morning, Monday, right? So I called up the owner, and she thought I was kidding. For 10 minutes, I had to talk her into. I was like, "Look, I'm serious. I'm not joking." And you don't really want to cover those up and come back to them because it's hard to find. It's just things can go wrong. So I dug it all night long. I fell asleep in the machine at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Machine laid back, and but we got the pocket, and it wasn't a crazy pocket. It was enough. It paid off the machine rentals. Well, sort of. I owed it was $24,000 for 4 months of rentals. And that's not including the diesel that was, that I spent during the dig. But yeah, so it took me like a year to pay that off. And yeah. But I just kind of, I guess that was my craziest months of just going nonstop. Yeah.
Wow.
Does anybody have another question? Because I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay.
I do too. I'll go after you.
All right, Theo, go ahead.
Okay. So not so much pertaining to rocks. I mean, maybe rocks play a role in it, but what would be your top? Because I don't want to make you pick a favorite, because that's a super hard question. For me, it would be anyway. But what would be your top places that you've seen, just based on scenery, or just I don't even know how to describe it.
Scenery, the most cool place was the Uper lights. And I mean, that sounds kind of weird, but it's so different from any other kind of rock hounding I've ever done. I was up there to film for some agates, and I found out while I was there, I ran into Eric at this gym show. We start talking, and I'm like, oh man, I kind of heard of these things a little bit. And he was like, well, come on, do a dig, So he was like, come on and do a dig. So I go out, and that night we're walking on the beach with these, these UV flashlights, and this was kind of before it blew up. And it was really fun because I was probably more giddy than any other time rock hounding.
Nice.
Quarter mile and you're not seeing anything, and all of a sudden one of these things pops and they glow so much they look like a glowing lava rock, and the water's hitting it, and it's just like that was one of the memorable nights I think I've ever had. Just and it's like I say, they're just Uper lights, but I guess they're more than that because they sure are fun to dig. That was definitely, I mean, I've had a lot of other cool things happen, but that was pretty neat. It was just so different. I think that was why, because you're walking on the beach at night, or the lake. But now the craziest pocket still today, and we have really, you've heard of the mineralogical record. We've got like a 16-page write-up in that from a few years back of this dig, and there were just very few pictures taken, but we found at Diamond Hill Mine 2008. They had been looking. Okay, I'll set it up. So for 12 years previous to me becoming caretaker of that mine, twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall, they would rent a machine for a week. Well, they didn't rent the machine, but they would have a guy come out and dig, with a huge machine for a week. And that would cost $5,000 for him roughly to dig 40 hours of that machine throughout that week. And they had a group of like 10 guys that would all throw in some money. And they were looking for amethyst. They were looking for the amethyst. We call it the amethyst ceiling, because in our veins, the hydrothermals come up and then they kind of push out, and you'll get the best stuff at the surface. And then as you go deeper, it actually gets less and less. So they didn't know if that pocket had already been exposed and decayed out at this point. Who knows? But they had not found it. They had not really seen any amethyst back by this around 2008 at Diamond Hill. So the caretaker asked me if I wanted to have a spot. It's $500 to have a 10% share of this dig. And I mean, my girlfriend and I, we were like, yeah, why not? There's no question about it, so we get in on this dig. And I realized real quick, one of the reasons he had me in there, because I was hands down the youngest guy at that time. I was like 30, 32, something like that. And all these guys were 65, 75, 80 years old. And I was doing all the work, which is fine because I didn't mind it. I loved it. But all the rocks up to the top. And I mean, I got to have some fun too. But anyway, on the third day of that dig, on a Wednesday, I heard the operator beep the horn, the little excavator horn. And I had not heard that. And I remember the owner, Chet was his name at that time. He was like, if the excavator operator beeps the horn, he thinks he's into something. So that's the first time I'd heard it. So I run up to the top of the hill because I was the youngest guy. I got there first. And in his huge bucket over in the left side, there was a bowling ball size amethyst.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So I go up there and I grabbed it, and I'm looking at it, and everybody else was catching up, and we were just all tripping out. Like the biggest one they'd seen maybe was fist size tops. And here's a bowling ball size. And it was crazy. It was 2 foot from the surface. It was nuts. And what basically what happened with that pocket, we dug all week. We pulled out 7 or 8 truckloads, and I mean like suburban truckloads with a trailer. So a truckload and a trailer, eight sets of those throughout the week, one every single day. We went a whole nother week. We extended the dig 3 or 4 days after that. So we ended up digging 7 or 8 days, pulling this stuff out. And it was basically a collapse, what they call a collapsed pocket, where the amethyst had come up in a just a huge seam. It wasn't so open, but it was probably anywhere from 2 to 4 foot thick. And it when it formed, it would have just been piece after piece after piece. But over time, these things kind of moved around some. So we really had to be careful prodding around, because some crystals will be facing up, and you didn't want to jab to the tip. But it was crazy. It was we didn't think we didn't have phones with cameras back then. It was before that era. And man, it was crazy though. It was nuts. We pulled out so much stuff. It really it kind of ruined me right off the rip, because I we were into good stuff. But yeah, I found out later on, this guy Chet that used to own it, he's a professor in Athens, and he's like one of the smartest guys I know. He's really good at researching stuff, and he has told me previously since that he hasn't discovered. Now, the Brazilian stuff's not a hydrothermal event, but that's different, like gas bubble type stuff. he's discovered that we have that pocket that we hit in 2008 in the spring and the fall, which was one continuous pocket, was in recorded history that we know of the biggest amethyst pocket to ever be found, as far as the poundage and volume and just coming out.
And you were the first to lay your hands on it.
It was crazy. One
What a
night,
rush.
he didn't like us digging after dark, and we were digging, and it got to be dark, and everybody had left, and he trusted me. We actually took all the crystals back to our place and to gather them up for the split later on that week. So we were digging in this pocket, and all of a sudden we just start pulling out crystal after crystal after crystal like this, and we couldn't stop. And like 11:30, and I was telling her, I was like, we probably should go, and yeah, we pulled out so much crazy stuff. That was just another world.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yes.
So cool.
That's worth the work, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can send you a few pictures. I don't have any of these pieces at all, because up until around 2015, I was selling everything I found to make everything work. So I sold everything, but I've still got a few pictures of some crazy finds back then. We found one piece. It was like this big disc. It looked like it was probably like 3 foot thick by like 6 foot high, like a round disc of druzy quartz with like amethyst all over it. I think it weighed 15 pounds.
Wow.
And
Wow.
Nice.
One full cluster. It was more of a smoky amethyst color, but the crystals were like fist size all over it. And it was like 4 foot wide, just completely covered. I think it was like pounds solid amethyst crystals, just pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, these are the things that I dream about.
I know, right? Like, seriously.
Yes. Send us the photos. I can get that edited in tonight for tomorrow.
Photos on those. Yep. I've got the photo. I've got a photo of me sitting behind that big piece that I was just talking about. I got a couple of those photos. Yeah, I'll get those too.
Sweet.
Cool. Yeah, we need to see that.
Yeah.
Kurt, did you have a question?
Yeah. So I normally ask this question to anyone that we have on, but with all the places you've been, and when you're digging crystals or rock hounding, have you had any good or funny animal encounters?
I gotta think about that one for a second. Oh yeah, I did one time, and it was Uperlites. So it was up there, and there's bears up there, that's the only thing that I
didn't know that. Yeah,
there's and they love the blueberries, I'm assuming. I told, and it was blueberry. There's these, I didn't know they were blueberries. I knew they were wild blueberries. I didn't know you could eat them because they were beautiful and they were everywhere, like knee high on the ground. And I later found out that I should have eaten as many as I could, but I wasn't. I didn't want to have to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes, but apparently they were. But that got me thinking, after the fact that, but I don't think it was a bear. Maybe I shouldn't have did the spoiler yet. You can cut that out. But here's what happened. So when I go Uperlite hunting, this is a good little tip too. It's kind of sketchy, but it's a good tip. With these cell phones, you can pin your location, and up there is no signal, but you can still pin your GPS location. So when you're walking on the beach, if you get 2 or 3, 4 miles down and you start walking back, you can look at your phone and you'll know how close you are to that original pin, right? So you'll be kind of close to your car. So I did that like I always did, and everything worked. But when I came back, apparently when I walked out, that's when I seen all the blueberries. It was great, and I went out. The sun was still barely showing. I walked a few miles down. I walked back, and I was within proximity, but I must have been about 100 foot off. And I start walking back, and I end up in this, from the beach to the car, it's probably like a quarter mile, maybe even more, maybe a half a mile walk from the, to the car. And getting out there was easy. And I did notice a big swamp area to my right walking out. But I guess when I walked back, I went crooked and I ended up in the swamp. And like the swamp ended up like here I am with, a lot of weight on the back of my, in my backpack full of Uperlites. I didn't have Matrix with me at that time. He was, let's see. I did have him. He must have still been in the vehicle. But I'm walking back, I end up in the swamp, and I'm like walking over. It must have been 5 or 6 foot deep, 8 foot deep, the swamp in some areas, but you could walk. It was really weird. you could walk on these like some kind of weird trees, and as long as you stepped on the trees that were coming out, you'd stay afloat. It's really peculiar. And it was really thick. They were everywhere. So I'm just like walking. I figured it would run itself out when it got deeper and less trees. And I'm thinking, I don't like to backtrack, and I'm thinking, man, I got to turn around. And I was starting to freak out a little bit in my head. Like, this is getting a little, I'm pushing it, you know what I mean? Here, I'm out in the middle of nowhere, no signal. Like, I don't need to, I just need to turn around. So right when I'm about to turn around, I hear something go bloop, bloop, like 15 foot from me, like jumping in the water. And it's scary. If I was just like frozen, and I hear this like pow, and I thought it was a bear because I'm thinking, there's not much up here, and later found out it could have been a beaver splashing its tail. I still don't know. It could have been a bear. I really don't know. I'll never know what that animal was, but it was big. It was a big animal. But yeah, I was pretty much frozen for like 30 seconds because I was like, I see me. But it knew where I was at. But anyway, I backtracked and got out of there. But that was probably the most, I was really, really nervous. I got back to the car and just took a big sigh of relief that night. And I was, kind of like, that's one of those times where you kind of slap yourself and you're like, you dumbass, like you can't be doing this kind of stuff. You're dangerous,
Yeah, live to see another rock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing other than the scorpion out west. I don't know what kind it was, but we ended up having, it was crazy. There was a scorpion, my boot, it wasn't standing up, it was sitting on the side, and a scorpion had crawled into my boot. And I seen it right when I was putting my boot on. I looked down, there was a freaking so I looked out. Yeah. That was the Garnet Hill spot. There's scorpions everywhere out there. Garnet Hill.
Shake your boots. Always click them together and toss them across. Yeah. I lived in Tucson for quite some time, and all the time. Didn't matter if it was inside or outside. Those little bark scorpions get everywhere.
And it makes me nervous out west because I love to take Matrix everywhere I go, but like I get really nervous out west because he's so small. A bite by one of those scorpions can take them down. So, and then you got rattlesnakes and stuff. So I'm wary of him. And then I found out birds even can scoop up a 10-pound dog.
Oh heck
yeah! I didn't know about that until I came to Colorado. And like I let her. We have a 6-pound dog. We used to let her out in the yard, but people are like, "You need to put her on a leash. Like an eagle will swoop down and take them." So,
wow.
Great horned owl. Yeah.
Yep. I was gonna say in Montana we have gold eagles also, and gold eagles make bald eagles look small. So yeah, like even a dog Cyrus's size, he's like 20 pounds. He's not a like small dog. He's I don't know. He's not that little, but even he is at risk from gold eagles. Gold eagles are terrifying.
Yeah, I don't think we have much anything in the Southeast, so I'd never heard of that, And then, but they get big in most other parts of the country, I think, besides here. Yeah, and I don't know. We never gave him an introduction, but yeah, this is Matrix.
Hey, Matrix.
Hey, Matrix.
Awesome. Oh, the camera loves you. That's great. Hey, Kyle, did you have another question?
I don't think I did. No.
Okay, I have one more. Because neither of those last two were mine.
Okay.
So I always like to find out from our guests, of all of your rock hounding expeditions, what was the craziest, weirdest thing that you found? And it doesn't have to be a rock.
I was going to ask that one too.
My favorite one.
Well, this is a little left field, but again, I was Uperlite hunting, and I found myself in a bad situation. Just miles from that previous one, which was the night before when that one happened. But yeah, so I was in a van. I would in 2000. Let's see, just before I got the RV about 3 years ago, I had this van, cargo van, and this was pre-COVID when all the Walmarts were open 24 hours, most of them. And so what I would do was I would go for 10 or 11 months of the year. I'd leave home, stay on the road for 10 or 11 months in this cargo van. and sleep out of that, sleep at Walmart's mainly because they were open 24 hours. If I had to use the bathroom or whatever, I could just go into Walmart, So that's the part that people don't see, that they didn't see. I roughed it. Because you can't get hotel rooms for 11 months of the year. And I'm not making that kind of money, So which is why I got the RV. That's a whole nother thing, game changer. But anyway, so I'm in this cargo van, and it's just a cargo van, 2-wheel drive, and I'm like out in the middle of nowhere looking for these Uperlites because like a lot of rocks and minerals, if you can go to where people haven't gone, you might find more, which is usually the case. So I'm driving up, I ended up going up this dirt road to the point where it got so narrow I couldn't turn around. So I just kept going. And all of a sudden I'm way out there, no phone signal. And there was an incline and it looked kind of sandy. And in my mind, my head said, you should get out and walk that and make sure it's not too sandy. Because at this point it was really hard, pretty good surface. There wasn't any danger of any getting stuck. But I didn't walk it. And I was just and I got stuck. Before you know,
Oh no.
I knew how to get unstuck too. That I knew several ways, and none of those ways were working. It was just going. Before you know it, I'm sitting on the axle. And I had water, but and it wasn't that cold, but at night. But I was so far out from civilization, and there was no phone signal. I started to freak out more than any time in my life because, and I shouldn't have, but I just did, because I didn't like to be stuck, and I didn't know how I was going to get out of there. I was like, I could be here for days, you know what I mean? So, that's when I found out that you could dial 911. Here's a good tip for anyone. They have service everywhere. I didn't realize that. After walking like 2 miles up the road to try to get service and with nothing happening, I go back to my van. It's been about 3 hours at this point, and I'm like I say, I'm in freak out mode, and I'm not knowing what I'm going to do. And something was like, try 911, So I tried it, and it rung, and I couldn't believe it because I was like, how's it happening? I have no sense. And so this lady answers the operator, and I'm telling her what's going on, and I'm telling her that I'm freaked out. That if I was kind of freaked out, and I didn't know how I was going to get out of the situation. And I'm trying to explain to her where I was, and she just cut me off. She goes, I know exactly where you're at. And I go, what do you mean? And she goes, we can see you, and we see exactly where. So apparently they have this, thing. If you're on a cell phone, they can see exactly where you're at to the foot almost.
Oh, wow.
So it still took, it was still kind of in freak out moment until the guy actually got there. It was a 5-hour drive for a tow operator to get to where I was at.
Oh, wow.
There's tow service. And this was like 4 a.m. on top of that. But the guy came out and he made it. I couldn't believe it. He made it. He got to me because of and all. I couldn't call back the 911. And for some reason she couldn't call me back, but she told me, she's like, I'll get him. I'll tell him where you're at. Just don't worry about it. And so I was in this unawareness state for like 4 or 5 hours. I didn't know if it was going to happen or not. Soon, sure enough, I seen some headlights coming in, and that was like a $850 bill for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was.
And that's like probably a pretty good deal, actually. I think he actually cut me some slack because he had to drive 5 hours, one way to get there.
Yeah.
But nothing too crazy. But that was probably, I found myself in a pretty. It wasn't. I wasn't going to die, but I don't like getting stuck.
Totally.
I'm going to get out. Could have been a lot worse.
Tricky situation.
Yeah, I've been real lucky with things. Other than, I know this probably wasn't like the type of the question you was going after, these kind of things, but I will say this: I had a machine. I don't do this anymore, but this was about 2012, 2013. I had been using pretty large excavators for a few years, and just kind of self-taught myself, and started using bigger and bigger machines. And man, I pushed it. Like I would work till as long as I could work those machines, as late as I could work without just going into exhaustion, and then sleeping and doing it the next day. And it was Sunday night. They were picking the machine up Monday morning. I was at Amos Cunningham's amethyst vein, and it was 11:30 at night. It was 35 degrees. It was like December. and I'm digging these trenches with this machine, like 25-foot trenches, like no wider than the machine. I don't recommend it. I'm digging huge trenches, and I'm walking down into these things, literally using the bucket above me to keep stuff from falling in on my head. Checking them out, just seeing if there was amethyst and pulling, So I was doing this one time, and I run down in the hole, and even though the bucket was above me, there was a cave in, and all this dirt, no anything, but all this dirt came down, and it came up to my waist. And I thought it was going to be easy just to push myself out of this dirt, and it was like concrete. And it took me, I think it felt like two hours, but it was probably like 20-30 minutes to like dig myself out, because my tools were buried. They were at my foot. So I had to dig stuff out with my hands in this like dirt clay stuff and throw it to the side. And it was 35 degrees. And all I remember was I was sweating bullets by the time I was free. And it changed my perspective on how I dig, because I would never put anyone else in that, let anyone else do that. But kind of tend to risk your own life sometimes, So that was a pretty crazy event that might have saved my life at this point, because I had stopped doing that kind of stuff, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense.
Okay.
We're glad you're still here.
Because I kept thinking, if it were to cave in again, I was already up to my waist. If it was going to do another cave in, then I'm done, before I could get out, and it was kind of, it was a weird moment. Yeah. Not worth the amethyst that I was getting.
Well, thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say thank you for the story, and thank you everyone for your questions. I was going to say if we can get in the show and tell.
Yeah.
If everyone else is ready.
Let me grab.
I had one more question though.
Yeah.
it can probably be a quick one. So to anyone that's getting into the hobby of crystal digging or rock hounding, like, do you have any advice you would say to them to help them?
Yeah. I would, any advice for someone that's actually getting into this hobby, definitely, if you're probably going to live within a few minutes to an hour or two of a major city. Most major cities have rock clubs. Those rock clubs have insurance. They're well established in what they do. They can get you out to spots. You can meet fun people of like-mindedness. And, that's a really good way. That's definitely the best way. Second best way is to watch my YouTube channel. No,
no, plug yourself. That's what you're here
for. Actually, I travel around and do these videos, and some of them are at private mines, but I really enjoy doing public spots. And I do have a playlist of just public locations that people can go out and dig. I don't ever usually try to put prices with that, because prices can change, so we don't want to cause any problems between them. But yeah, I like to do. I'm going to get more educational, I think, with my videos. Not too educational, but the editing. That's more editing. And so this year I'm going to try to slow things down and make those videos a little bit more educational about, how the rocks form, why are they there, all those kind of questions, instead of just going right into it and showing the digging. Awesome. But those things, watching videos and getting in your local rock club is really two of the best ways to, just meeting friends, getting in these forums, Facebook, all this stuff can help. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm super excited about those videos, because I've got like the agates and the jaspers, and especially fossils. Those are like, that's all like down for me. But crystals, man, like crystals are a foreign language to me still. I think it's hard just because I live so far away from the nearest like actual, like Crystal Park's like a 5.5 hour drive for where I live, but which I know is closer than most, but it's the kind of thing that you only get to do like 2 or 3 times a season, because I'm usually more focused on baculites and ammonites and big agates. But yeah, like crystals are so cool to me, and I just want to understand like how to actually target them. So I'm super excited about those more educational things.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll throw this in there. I'm doing a huge public dig April 2nd and 3rd in Missouri. And the guy has 250 acres, and the veins out here form, I don't know if you call them hydrothermal, but they're definitely were solution water, hot water flowing, but it was flowing horizontally, not vertically. So there's vein system after vein system after vein system of these crystals, and this land's just loaded. And the guy charges $30 per bucket to fill up a huge bucket of material.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
You know what?
Pack your
Nice.
bags, guys.
You're right.
You know, it's not saturated in the market yet. It may never be. I don't know, but there's potential of that happening. But right now, that spot would have to be, and I'm not saying this to promote the dig. This is the truth. Out of all the spots I know, if you're looking to dig and sell crystals, man, you can fill up a bucket. If you go out in high grade, you can get $1,000 easy in a bucket. If you stack them in there, Tetris them in there, you know,
Right.
and they got $30. So that's a crazy turnover.
That's a good
No
deal.
kid. Yeah, no kidding.
That is.
We have people showing up and they're thinking they're going to take 1 or 2 5-gallon buckets home, and they're literally loading up their car with 10 or 15 buckets.
Wow.
I know that I get at least 30 buckets of 5-gallon buckets in my truck, and it'll ride super low, and it's probably not good for the truck, but I know
I
it
was
is.
going to say, how's your suspension on that? I hope you have
probably not good
pillows.
now. Oh, that poor truck.
Yeah. Just riding on the ground almost. Yeah.
Go rider.
All right. That was actually good advice. So thank you, Bryan, for that.
Yeah.
So now we get into show and tell.
Yeah. Grab a couple of things here. Let me get up. Cool.
All right, Bryan, what you got for show and tell?
All right. So we've talked about the Thunder Bay location in Canada, and I had to keep this piece. This
Ooh,
one.
Wow.
Oh my
Get-
gosh.
Good.
Oh, it's so heavy. Look at
Yeah.
it. It's
It's
difficult to manage.
big. What's neat about it is, you know, they have look at that deep purple.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, it's crazy deep purple
Huge.
red caps. This was the biggest point that I found. I would think I've been there 4 times over a couple years, and this was the biggest single point that I found that had a perfect tip. I love a perfect, undamaged piece, you know. And yeah, this one was huge. And then I only kept 2 pieces. Out of all the pieces from there, this is another one. This one had, I don't know if you can see it. It had the
Wait, that's
best.
not the same one. That's another one. I want to see them
Oh.
both at the same time. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I know. Mind blown. Mind blown.
Hey, nice points.
Yes. Good point there.
He got to say that. Yeah.
This one just had the glass luster. I don't know if you're gonna trying to catch it, but yeah, this one's just super quality. And
Woo.
favorite 2 amethysts from Thunder Bay there. So those were pretty epic.
Oh, no kidding.
You know, we had stuff that I couldn't even lift from Diamond Hill that would just that was probably the best stuff I've ever seen. I'm sure that was back in 2008. It was probably $1 to $2 million pocket if you were to add up every single piece.
Wow.
Wow.
And there's like I say, there's very little. We've got an article in Mineralogical Record about that. There's a few nice pictures in there, but those pieces are all over in collections all over the country and the world at this point. So
That's so cool.
so these are kind of 2 pieces. I'm sure you guys can probably guess. Let me see. But one of these is a Herkimer and one of these is an Arkansas point. And I dig lots of Arkansas points. Right?
That is so clear, though.
That's so cool.
So beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Herkimer's
cool.
in his right hand, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you would think that, you know, this looks like a Herkimer. This is an actual Arkansas because it's double terminated and it's short and stubby like the Hercs, but it's actually more clear than any large Herkimer I've ever seen. This is the best, or the largest Herkimer I've ever dug. That's nice and double terminated. That was from Area 51 up in, you know, New York. Oh wow! Barely. Oh yeah! Oh, it's TT'd. Double terminated. Perfect. Golly. Look at that. That is insane.
Yeah.
Throw it right in there, lather it. That is wild. look at
That's so cool.
But
Those
this
are
one,
ridiculous.
That's so clear.
Like it's like
Like-
glass.
It is. That is crazy.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
speechless, but
But-
not. I keep on dribbling on.
really don't keep
Make-
to me. But yeah, I was like, oh, eBay sale. I guess you're- I found that little app because teaching, you know. So here's a neat one.
Oh my gosh.
I like what's so crazy about this piece is it's obviously it's a huge double terminated point, right? But if you look up top, I don't know, is that coming in pretty good? Maybe.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Yep.
What you're looking at there is where this point, I don't know, we don't know how this happened because there's no damage point like something hit it, you know, or it would be busted. It like slid. There was a crack, apparently a fracture here, and this point slid down an inch and then rehealed itself.
Wow.
That's insane.
This was the
so
original
cool.
tip. Isn't that wild? I've never seen almost anything like this, much less that size.
That gigantic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cool. That point, the point fractured, slid down, and then refroze, you know, almost.
That's,
So that's cool.
wild.
And then another article. This is one of the biggest. It's not cleaned up.
They just keep getting bigger.
I know.
Get outta here.
Oh, that is insane.
The face, just like I said, I love stuff with no damage, and this one's perfect. And I haven't soaked it yet, so a lot of this stuff, iron oxides will come off. But that is one of the largest, that I've pulled. You know,
It's hurting my eyes.
You know, I have the literal twin of that crystal, but it's about this big. That's
The
like its
mini me.
great
Yeah.
grandkid. Yeah.
now,
Oh, here's
This-
another one.
this is
Oh gosh.
from Arkansas. This is one of my favorite pieces. This is one of the other Arkansas pieces in my collection, and it's because it's two floater pieces. Like when I turn it, there's no contact point. You got this huge point, and then another one that like jammed into the back, and then they grew that way. So it's just a neat. This one's kind of, I don't know if it's going to come through as well in the camera, but this one's super cool in person.
That is so
That
cool.
looks super cool.
That's
They're all so big. They do come out very nicely, actually, on the camera. Nobody else's stuff does.
Yeah.
And this one, I don't have much Purple Heart. Let me see if I've got, wait a minute. Yeah, here we go. Something to back like this with. This piece, I think I lost count at like 18 bubbles. You may not be able to see any of those.
Hydros.
Hydros?
Yeah,
That's so cool.
crazy and high.
Oh,
That's a massive one.
my
Yeah.
brain hurts.
Kind of color. You can see the purple.
Literally. Like I woke up with a migraine this morning. It's intensing from man.
That is so cool.
Oh, that's so good.
I don't think you'll be able to see them. There's a bunch of bubbles that move around. Probably not going to
You
see
can
it.
just keep on showing
Yeah.
us.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, like, let's just
That
do
doesn't
this
get
for the rest
old.
of the
Yeah.
podcast.
We should have just started that way.
Right.
You know, this one might look like the least, but it's really cool. We dug this. This is from Atlanta, Georgia. Let's see if we can get some lighting, maybe. And it's really weird. They're just big milky crystals. But what happened was, I don't know if you can tell, the top is really white versus more of a milky base, kind of like a snow cone. I'm not sure. Let's see. There we go.
It's a coconut snow cone.
Figure out was like, what is this white? Why is this like this? And we found points like, golly, I mean, if this is a 5-6 pound point, we must have found 30-pound points from this spot.
Oh wow.
Wow.
All the-
Gosh.
One in my front yard, I would have brought that in, but it's just too big. It's probably 60 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
But it's because we couldn't figure out why the pure white on the more milky white, and like 2 years later, it's kind of like it was right in front of our face. But most pockets, almost every pocket, anywhere you go, if it has mud, it's going to be like a clay, like a red clay. This one had a pure white clay line, pure white. And what that was the feldspar that was injected into that pocket as well, where the feldspar had decayed into kaolin, which is like a powder clay, you know, and white, you know, the feldspar, this stuff's old. And so it must have had a regenerational growth here. and included some of that wax feldspar in that last generation. So these are just neat crystals.
Wow.
That's
cool.
so cool.
This
beautiful.
is you know what? You might want to put. You can put this clip. Can you put a video clip in?
Yeah, no, send
Yeah.
it to us.
I'll
Anything
send
you
you-
want.
Okay, I'll tell you something about this spot. It was back in, I think it was about 2008, 7, 8. Jason Barrett, we called it the Barrett Mine. He was a good friend of mine. We used to go digging a lot, and he found this spot near Atlanta. And you may have never heard, you may or may not have ever heard us talk about Berry Pocket. Okay, so we were filming, and this was the first crystal collector video we ever did. It was actually on his channel. It's not on my channel. He doesn't do any more videos, but this video is still on YouTube. I think it's called collecting giant quartz crystals or something like that in Georgia or something. And so we're digging this stuff out. It was not a sunny day. It was an overcast day. You can see it all throughout the video. And I say that because, when you're filming a sunny day, you can get that little green, you know what I'm saying? Everybody, oh my gosh, look, but it's, we all know what that is. It's moving with the light. It's a refraction. But I was pulling out like 2 foot from the surface. This was a completely mud encased pocket, no voids, no open voids for animals to be living in, like something to fly out, and if something were to fly out, a bug, I would have noticed that, no, that's never happened. So I'm pulling this crystal, not this one, but I'm pulling a crystal out. And as I'm pulling it out, this little light goes, and it doesn't go straight. It goes like a zigzag. And when you watch it, it looks like a little dragonfly with wings, but it's all light and it's flying out. And like I say, maybe you can be watching this video. I'll put it up on Instagram. I've done a couple of shots of this where I slow it down, and
I was gonna say, I think I saw that.
Yeah. And the very last clip, it's going so slow. You can see this thing half and half coming from the bottom of my glove and then shoot out. I mean, it's not a glare. It's not an insect. I don't claim to know what it is, but whatever it is, it's something that the camera picked up that we didn't see. And like I say, it's no kind of refraction, or at least a refraction off of camera play. You know what I'm saying? Or anything like that. And we didn't even notice it. Someone, I think it was 2 months into the video, we put the video out, we get a couple hundred views maybe. And someone was like, hey, is that a fairy at the 32?
Tinkerbell.
When we looked at it, and we couldn't believe we didn't notice it sooner, because you're on videos, your first video you do, you're going to watch it hundreds of times, and we never right there, and it's just like and so that's pretty crazy. That was, I mean, it's undeniable that it's something. What that something is, I have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I swear I've seen that one. I think I saw it on your Instagram.
Once a year I'll make of that. So
just makes your brain hurt, like trying to think. It's like, oh, it's just a bug, and then you look at it, it's like, no, that's definitely not. What is happening? What is this thing?
I mean, people's like added that, or it's something flying out, like, but it's not. You can tell it's none of that. I mean, it's whatever it is. It is.
Yeah. Tinkerbell finally escaping prison, I guess.
And you did it.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Probably at Diamond Hill, there was I'll tell you another weird thing. At Diamond Hill back in 2012, 13, I think, 14, some in those kind of years, I was digging during the day and would end up digging till like 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night sometimes. And I would say at least 100 people or more over this 2 periods that I was digging in the spring and fall, because we've seen it all that year. You could stand at the top of the mine. There's no houses, no nothing back this way at the bottom of the mine, nothing, no lights. And if you were to just look, you could see this little light jumping around. Sometimes there'd be more than one, and 3 or 4 of these things, but almost every night this one, and it looked like this flame. And if you started to walk towards it, the closer you got to it, we're probably standing 200 or 300 foot back, a good football field length back. And if you were to start walking closer to it, it would get smaller and smaller till it finally just went away. So you can never see it up close, right? And we didn't know what it was. I mean, it was something weird. Like I say, I don't know if there's things out there that we just haven't seen yet. We don't know anything about it yet. And and like I say, you could every night, almost every night, that thing would be down there, and it wouldn't be in the exact same spot. It would be within 20 foot of itself, every night. And I would show it to people, and 100% of the time, you kind of have to look and be like, oh, I see it, and you see it moving around. So one night, Jason and I, the guy that found that spot in Atlanta, we were down digging late at night, and I had a huge dump pile, that was sitting up, and we were on this side of it to where the light would have been in the back. And I told him, I was like, hey man, let's sneak up there and see if we can see this top. And we've done that. Right? We're like commandos. We're like doing like this, not talking. And I didn't think we were going to see it, but this is no joke. I get up to the top, and at this point we're probably, instead of 300 foot, we're maybe 80 foot, less than 100 foot away, 80 to 100 foot. So we're a lot closer than ever before. And I get up there, and it looked like a flaming ball, and I seen it. And I was looking at it for like a second or two. Jason was coming up behind me. He gets up, and he was, even though he could see it from the top every night, he was still trying to come up with some kind of scientific explanation. He didn't want to believe it. I think it freaked him out so bad. He stands up, like, because we're like trying to be incognito, looking at this thing, seeing if he was looking at what I was seeing, because I was like in awe. He stands up. He's like, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden this thing, I kid you not, it goes, I never forget, it goes, and it disappeared. And I think I was like intrigued. He was freaked out. He was like, I don't know what that was, and so there's been a couple of extraterrestrial. I don't know if it's extraterrestrial, but interterrestrial. I don't know what it was, but so there's definitely some anomalies happening with these rocks. Whether it's just some kind of energy, I don't know. Don't get me started on that realm. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
that sounds very interesting. Well, maybe we need to have you on again just to talk about that. Yes. That's awesome. Right on. Do you have some more show and tells? Not that like that wasn't like a plethora of incredible.
See, I mean, I've got some stuff hanging around in the room. That's a lot of the large stuff. Let me show. I do have my best Purple Heart. Well, it's not my best. It's one that I've kept. I've sold all the best, but this one's a good one. I had it on eBay a while back, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep this thing. Watch out, boy. Let me grab that. Hopefully, I'll have some crazy wolfenite soon. I didn't. That place was open to the public out in Red Cloud, Arizona. So I've been talking with the owner. They've been trying to get people to go there for almost 7 years. They've been open to the public. I guess they, like a lot of mine owners, they don't know how or really have any way of promoting their mine. So they were going to shut down this year. And I told them, I shut down. I can get you some people there. We can do some digs and stuff. So I'm going to talk. I'm actually in some conversations with a guy about, having some monetary involvement with that location. So we're going to start. I want to do that around the country. There's. I don't want to say anything because somebody will kind of, snag times. But there's probably about 3 or 4 locations all around the country that I want to kind of get my foot in the door with those locations, and to help promote them and help make the mine owner money too. But really, I want to have my foot as part of the owner of those places, because I can maybe help control what happens with the public. And what I mean by that is, like, I would, there, it's hard to say, you got supply and demand of these minerals, how much is really in the ground versus how much are they worth. There's all this, with me, it's kind of bad because the more if I find a huge pocket of something, I completely devalue it in my head, which shouldn't happen, but at the same time, there's lots of crystals in the ground at most of these locations. And I would love for anything to help get more and more people out to dig those crystals where it doesn't break their pocketbook as well. So that's that's one of my goals and intent of doing a lot of this is to get into these places and help promote them in a way like the Missouri spot. He could have charged $100 a bucket. But we talked about it, and I told him, I was like, I actually was telling him 50, 40, or 50. He was like, what about 30? And it's like, well, if you want to do that, you get a lot of people. And I was like, he does. He's probably got, we had 2,500 people show up at days on that dig last year, which was crazy.
Nice.
25.
That's insane.
Awesome.
It was pretty nuts. But he's got the location. He can park 500 cars at that location at this point with the fields and stuff that he has. But anyway, it's nice to have a spot like that where I can go in. And I love to do this. I love to go into a spot where there's old or new and kind of give it a facelift or just kind of do some or just throw out some ideas to help the owner to make some money, promote it, get people in there. And it's a win-win-win for everyone because the mine owners are going to make more money. Sometimes like this guy's, he's retiring. He retired early because we were, the guy at Haunted Ridge in Missouri because he's doing so well. And at the same time, he's letting people come in and dig a bucket of crystals for $30. I mean, and you can pick them up like nonstop. You can get 5, 7, 8 buckets per day. So it's pretty neat. I want to do more of that in the future at locations all over. So. And
there's beautiful stuff that comes out of there. We've gotten stuff from Dustin.
I was gonna say, Dustin sent us all some Haunted Ridge stuff, and that is
he's awesome. Stuff. He's wanting to promote that place so bad, and he does. He's the one that found that spot and got with me because I was telling him, for like 2 years he was asking me, and I have people asking me. It's funny because I get messages that I can't respond to. Unfortunately, my messenger, like just Facebook alone, I must get 20 to 30 messages per day. And that doesn't sound like too many, but you go a week.
A lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's still a lot.
And I it's like it's a problem to have because I kind of feel bad that I can't get back to some of these people, and some of these people are reaching out and telling them how these crystals changed their life, and just getting back to them and saying, "Hey, that's awesome. I want to do that, but it's tough. It's tough." But Dustin was one of those people, and he kept reaching out to me, and I kept telling him, it's tough. You got to prospect, go in that county. And I was I hate to say, I wasn't really brushing him off, but I was just like giving him a few tips of advice, and he found this spot. And all of a sudden, it's really because of him that place exists. I just helped him up.
That's awesome.
He really found the spot. And he came to me, Bryan, I got this crazy spot. And, I hear that all the time. And 19 times out of 20, it's not so crazy, but this was the one time where it was absolutely phenomenal. And so all props to him for really promoting that place, or not promoting it, but putting it out on the board, on the map, and getting the attention it needs. Yeah.
And I'm sure Dustin is watching right now, so huge shout out to you, Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hey, buddy.
Awesome guy.
We love you.
Awesome dude. Yeah. So here,
whoa,
not a big piece.
That's
so pretty.
It's a cool piece.
and the it's funny. Our amethyst in the Carolinas, like this piece, it's really nice and purple, but indoor lighting, it doesn't show the purple too much. But you can get the idea. When you take these things out in the sunlight, they just kind of pop. They're kind of. It's kind of a funny thing, but that's a cool one. I decided to keep that one in my collection too, from Purple Heart. I have a lot of people asking me about Purple Heart Mine. Can I open it to the public? And I actually snuck some people in over one summer. The mine owner, it's not even a mine. It's a tree farm, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And for 30 years, there was this one guy that leased it every January, and that's the only month we could lease it because these hunters lease it and they watch. He's not interested in doing anything else, right? The owner, but he'd let us go out there and dig with a really small machine. So I took in a large machine. He didn't say we couldn't, but we didn't ask. I took in a pretty big machine, and these trees on this tree farm are really close together. And I worked this thing for a whole month. And with a large machine, and later he found out we almost lost the lease the first year we leased it because I took in such a big machine. So we had his tree guy come out, and this tree guy looked at all the trees to make sure I didn't scuff any or I didn't damage any trees, and he just knew that something was going to be damaged with a machine that size. And I didn't. Luckily, there was a little bit of luck on my side, but I didn't touch one all month. And so we got to dig again the following. I think we dug 4 years there, every January. And but we had to go back to a smaller machine. What messed me up this time, some of the best advice that I had that I didn't listen to, because I like to show the stuff off in the YouTube channel, and I like to make videos. But one of the guys that got me into this, the previous owner of Diamond Hill Mine, used to tell me, hey, if you're digging these spots, I don't ever do anything illegal or go places that I'm not supposed to be. That's not even fun to me. But at the same time, sometimes you just don't want a bunch of attention to a spot. That is the case, and with some spots. And this was one of those spots, and I didn't listen, and I ended up having like Logan Paul came down, and what happened. Yeah, and Logan's a cool guy. He's actually a pretty cool dude. We hung out for a few days. He dug some crystals. He ends up pulling out the best crystal we've ever pulled out of that place. Just boom, this cluster. And that cluster, here's what happened. This is why I'm not digging that spot right now. We didn't lose the lease permanently, but we're in negotiations, which I'm like a year behind. I need to call that guy and negotiate with him. So it could be a good thing. We could get better negotiations, but we pulled out a cluster. And if it would have not, a lot of times these clusters, not a lot, every time they move around, they're never exactly where they formed in the Carolinas because they're 450 million years old. Pockets have collapsed, crystals get damaged, or they just barely grow into the other side of the pocket. And that was the case with this cluster. It's a huge, perfect cluster. And the very center tip was touching the other side of the wall. Just this much, enough to give it just a tiny bit of, not natural damage is what we kind of call it sometimes, but it devalues the piece tremendously when you got the tiniest chip on the center point when the rest of it's perfect. So anyway, we're pulling out this piece, and they're all asking Logan and Jake, D Almighty, all asking, what's this piece worth? Because they like to go from the money aspect, which is cool. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't do that. But they wanted to say, I told them, I was like, if this piece, this is and this was a Tucson price, right? We call it that, a Tucson price. Perfect, which it wasn't, it would have been worth 40, 50 grand. I mean, that it was the best piece that I've ever seen come out of South Carolina, if that would have been the case. Perfect, but it wasn't. So they were like, can we call it $100,000 piece? And I'm like, I'm not going to call it $100,000 piece. That whatever. I'm not going to say that, but if you want to do that, fine. So Logan puts out a video, $100,000 piece. And he didn't even put the video out yet. He put out this little, the little Instagram, the little 24-hour shorts.
Yeah.
Something about $100,000 piece. Well, apparently the owner, which is like an 85-year-old man, doesn't watch Logan Paul, never heard of him. But his granddaughter did. And his granddaughter knew about me digging on the property and knew about the crystals, connected the dots, told her grandfather, this guy's on here that we found $100,000 piece. We get a call the day before the month was over, and we were going to go 2 more weeks, and he said, shut it down. And the reason why I said shut it down is because he thought we pulled $100,000 piece, and we didn't. And, in his mind, we need to negotiate. He wanted to, it makes sense. He's like, we're pulling hundreds of thousands of dollars of crystals, which may be true all in all, but we're spending a lot of money too, like lots of money over those 4 years digging. So anyway, so we kind of lost the lease because of that, but I'm still in the top priority to getting the lease back, which might be better because, but I did what the owner doesn't know. I guess we can say it now. Doesn't matter. Throughout, I did a bunch of digs with some, I do this clubhouse thing and I was doing, a private group, and I was having those people come out like left and right. I was having 5 or 10 people a bunch of days come out because I love for people to experience it themselves. And that spot, if it's a possibility, I'd have to get some big backers, but if we can get that location or just a portion of that location, it would be the best public amethyst site in the world to be open, because there's so much alluvial, you guys know about the alluvial crystals, they'll grow way up here and then over time they sprinkle down. Mm-hmm. The first 6 foot of dirt over like 30 acres of this property, well, it's a 300 acre property, but the crystals are on like a 30 acre area. It's just loaded with crystals. And you can just, it's so perfect for people that want to come and just pay to dig. And man, it's just, that's my dream. If I have any dream of what I'd like to do, is to open up Purple Heart to the public. And it may or may not happen. But I'm just letting doing
Fingers
it like
crossed.
Just whenever it's supposed to. I'm a big believer. Hey, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. I put the seed out there and just let it fruit. So we'll see. see how that goes.
Yeah, well, good luck. We all have our fingers crossed, and if
Yes.
anyone can do it, it's going to be you.
Yep.
It would be phenomenal, man. It'd be so great. But yeah,
Well, thank you for your show and tell. Be sure to send me. Would email be best to get all those photos from you?
yeah. Email. I guess through email you get good quality photo. I guess you can. Yeah. I
Better.
guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'll send an email as soon as we get done with the podcast. So
Okay,
I can get
sounds-
that from you.
Yeah, and I'll throw those together. I'll go ahead and do it now, so I don't. I'm bad.
Karen.
I'm sure I guess you're gonna show. Yeah.
Yeah, because I do all the editing as soon as like I hit end of the meeting. Like I do all the editing and have everything done before midnight, so it comes up the next day. Karen,
Yes.
what's
All
your
right.
first show to tell?
Yeah. Hard act to follow there, Bryan.
I was gonna say.
Oh, I know.
I don't know if I should even bother mine.
Yeah, pass. But really quick, I've been desperately seeking rainbows on this iris agate kick that Theo kind of got me launched on, and
Sorry.
like no apology necessary for this. Obsessions are always good, right?
Oh yeah.
And-
Iris egg, it's real easy to get obsessed with.
and
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
easy to come by in the rock world, all these obsessions. So one of the things that we have a lot of iris in, or iris can occur in our limb casts. And so this is probably one of the bigger limb casts that I've found here in Oregon. And I just want to ask you guys, I didn't cut it for the iris agate video that's coming out this weekend. That's the collab with Theo. Should I cut this and find out if there's
Yes.
iris in
Yes.
there?
Kyle's
Definitely.
answer
Do
is
it.
always yes.
It's always do it.
The iris also, this is another limb cast. This is another limb cast. Do you think that there's iris in here? Theo, what do you think? This one?
That one, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
That
so
one looks good.
I should cut this. It's got crystals on it. I thought that would be nice for the guest that we had today. Nothing like your crystals, Bryan. But so this is the pink limb cast. They come in different colors. We have green, blue, and pink, and of course clear and that sort of thing. But this is a good pink one. And I have 3 pictures that Kyle's gonna put up that are some of the spectrum aspects of the iris. And you can see that it's really, really rich color. This is diffraction. And during my video that's coming out this weekend, I go through the science of exactly why you're seeing these colors, but the colors are absolutely saturated. This is straight out of the camera, people. I didn't adjust anything. I didn't even turn the light down where, you can go ahead and turn your camera's setting down to low so that you can see better. I didn't have to do that with this thing. And it was like a neon light. And so that's going to be in the video, and it just comes from this little guy. And so I'm looking forward to cutting the rest of this little guy. It should be some more neon lights, but really very intrigued with this guy. He's got some bots in there, but it's completely all the way through on that side. So, all right, we have those votes. You can go ahead and leave it in the comments if you think I should cut this bad boy. All right, and that's it for mine. Just go ahead and check out the collab that Theo and I did this weekend that I released. Theo dropped his last weekend. The Rookie Rockhound has an iris video from before, and also he's dropping one this weekend. Kurt has one from before. He's dropping one soon. When is yours, Kurt?
Well, I dropped that video last week, and I'll
Yep.
be tumbling and polishing that piece of iris then in the coming weeks. So
I accidentally started a wave.
It's iris
You did.
madness. Yeah, and
I did.
it is a really madness.
so get on the boat, everyone, and enjoy the iris with us. And so that's my show and tell. How about you, Kurt?
Thank you.
So for my show and tell, I have nothing at all that compares to anything close to Bryan. Mine's still blown. I have a small. So like I was because I haven't been able to go rock hounding lately. I was looking over the material I first started finding when I first started my channel out near Ouray, Colorado, in Dexter Creek. I was finding some agates, and then I was soaking them in iron out, and I found, and this piece right here has a nice, has a nice crystal structure. I thought it was agate, but when I soaked it in iron out, it revealed some. These were quartz points at one point in time before they fell into the river and tumbled and stuff. So I'm gonna cut these edges off and polish them and see what they look like. So that will be a video coming up, I think this Monday. And then this is a piece of, I thought this was jasper whenever I first found it back about a year ago. And so I cut it open, but it was too thick. So I had to put my chisel in and break it open after cutting it all the way around, and found out that it is actually petrified wood.
Oh,
so
cool.
like,
I'm so excited for
if
that.
y'all can see that, but there's beautiful like wood patterns that go through here. It's kind of hard to tell with this big chunk from when I broke it, but very beautiful on the inside. I'll send pictures over to Kyle. I forgot to do that. But yeah, it's very beautiful, and I like petrified wood better than jasper, so
I'll take a polish.
Sure.
good piece. Yeah,
That's because you've never found Montana jasper.
Ooh, he just threw down on that.
I found Utah jasper, and Utah jasper's pretty cool.
Sorry, what,
And
Bryan?
agate that.
I was just going to throw out there, have you heard of the Dobell's Ranch down in Arizona?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can, that was something I didn't know you could go and collect petrified wood basically right out of the petrified forest, the national forest. But it's kind of like this: the national forest lines right here, and their ranch is right here. They're grandfathered in. It's because goes back. They're natives, and Americans, so they've got the land, and they are the only spot. There's a couple of people that I think that own some spots that don't open to the public. They're the only spot that you can go and dig that stuff. And I don't normally talk pricing, but they only charge 45 buckets to fill up a bucket. But you're going to be lucky to fill up one bucket in a day. But man, you can go dig it right out of the ground from there.
Pack your bags again.
I was gonna say that sounds amazing.
It's pretty. Yeah, that was one of those spots that I didn't know existed, and I found out about it. I was like, oh, I got to go, and it was just amazing. Just don't go dig that stuff and then do your tour through the petrified forest, because but you're riding, it's like $25 a car. You enter one way and you go around, and you forest, and it's mind blowing because there's just stuff sitting there that they've kept in situ. It's just logs, it's nuts. It's like you're on another planet. But then when you leave, if you've been digging at Dobell's for a week and you got material all in your car and you're leaving and you see this gate of inspections, it starts to make I didn't know that. And I'm sure all in all it would have been fine, and I didn't get inspected. But I can only imagine if the guy would have been like, well, I need to search your car, because he would have found that same petrified wood all in my car, but not from there.
Yeah.
That's fun. But no, that place is. Both of those places are just amazing to check out. Yeah.
Beautiful. That whole area is beautiful. Like Arizona.
Yeah.
Another good thing, like when you pull up to that gate, like let them, like, I remember when I went back in 2012, I didn't have any like petrified wood or anything in my truck at the time. I had a bunch of arrowheads and stuff like that. And they were like, do you have it? Like, it's illegal to pick up what stuff that you see. I was like, yeah, I know that, but I do have some arrowheads and stuff in my truck, and they noted it on their file that my truck with my license plate, so that way if I get stopped, that I won't get in trouble. So if you have any agatized wood or anything, let them know at the gate.
Yeah. That's a good. Yeah.
Document your digging. So you're like, I have video footage of me digging at this place.
You're right. Yeah. Just look at the camera. I can prove that it's not from here.
Yes.
This is a little something that people might want to know. I'll throw this in there because I get asked all the time to do a video about this. I just never have done one. But a lot of people want to know how I got started on YouTube. And basically what happened with us was around, let's see, it was probably around 2008, 9, 10. We had these, you could go to Walmart and buy like these $200 or $300 Nokia, I guess that's how you say it, these little cameras, you know, and they had video. You started to get, you know, that was right when you could purchase these things and make decent video quality, like 1080, you know. So we were making these videos and putting them on YouTube. And the only reason we put them on YouTube was for ourselves. Cause I was thinking, you know, growing up as a kid, you know, we kept picture books and it's fun to go look back at those picture books. So we were like, Jason Barrett were like, hey man, we should take video of some of these digs and put them on YouTube because YouTube's free to upload. It seems like they're there forever and we could just go back and watch them later on. So it wasn't even for anyone else but us. So we started uploading 2 or 3 videos and then we came out with this kooky thing, you know, the Crystal Collector. We'll call it the Crystal Collector Show because we were getting like 100, 200 or 300 views. And that was really cool back then because I was like, man, 200 or 300 people are watching this. This is crazy. Like 2 or 3 months. And so we kept doing that. And then it slowly began. I mean, this much of it was to make videos for other people, but it was still not a thing. And back then there was no rules. It was, you just click this button, this monetization button. So we were clicking it and we were like joking around because I think after like, man, it must have been 2 years, probably around 2000. It was around early 2015. I think we checked how much they owed us for the last couple of years. And I mean, you're talking, I don't even know if I had one video that had over 1,000 views, you know, and they owed me like 10 cents, 8 cents. It was something ridiculous, you know, and we laughed. We're like, ha ha, you know, people, nobody was even thinking back then that you could make money off YouTube. None of this was in anyone's mind, you know. And so about 6 months goes by and Jason had moved away to like South Dakota and he calls me up and he's like, hey man, have you seen that video? It's got 1 million views. And I really thought he was messing with me. And you know, 1 million views back then was a lot more than 1 million views today. And he was like, nah, man, it's got 1 million views. And it was a documented pocket that I did in 2015, earlier that year. It was like 3 or 4 months later, it had 1 million views. And he asked me, he goes, did you click the monetization button? And we always clicked it because it was just, you just clicked it, you know? So I was like, yeah, I clicked it. So he's like, you should see if they owe you anything. And I literally was on the phone with him with my laptop, checking it. And as it's pulling up, you know, the internet wasn't as fast. It's loading. And I'm like, I bet they owe me like 15 cents. You know, it's like, so as soon as I say that, it loads and they owed me $1,500 and $1,550.
Oh wow.
Blown away. This was over like a 3-month period. Apparently I was making like $300 or $400 a month off this video because it just was blowing up, you know.
Yeah.
I had to do a double or triple take at this money and I'm like, wait a minute, this can't be right. But it was. And basically that was around mid 2015. So it was from a documented pocket, an hour-long boring pocket. The only reason I did it was to put out the pieces, the actual piece being numbered. I was going to sell them that way, and you could go back and your piece being pulled out of the pocket. So yeah, this video went viral, and I was making, like I say, $300 or $400 a month, and it kept going for 2 or 3 months. So I'm like, man, maybe I should start making more videos. So I made 2 or 3 and then another one went viral. So now I'm making $700 or $800 a month, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like I've never been one to try to make a bunch of money. I just wanted to always make enough to get by. So in my surfing days, I was waiting tables 20, 25-hour weeks. I mean, I wasn't driving the nicest car, but I was surfing every single day, you know, and that's kind of, you know, so when the digging came around, I kind of did that. I dug all the time. I made just enough money to get by. So here all of a sudden I'm up to $700, $800 a month. And I'm like, okay, maybe I should keep making these videos, obviously, right? About a year goes by, and it was like a year after, like mid 2016, I'm on my way up to Herkimer. And you guys probably know they give you around the 10th. Well, now it's even, you can go right now and look at with the analytics. But back then, you had no idea what you made until the 10th of the month. And on the 10th of every month, they'd tell you what you make. And it would be the 21st, around the 21st of the month when it goes into your bank account. So I actually made like this much over $1,000 that month. And to me, that was like the number. It's like, oh my God, I made $1,000 in a month from a freaking video. What is this? And so for like those 10 or 11 days, I knew I was getting that money, but it didn't really set until I pull off. I get to this gym show in Herkimer, and I pull off and I checked it, and it was in my bank. There it was. And I was like, that was when it like really hit and clicked. I was like, you know what? I need to take this serious, and I need to put a lot more focus on these videos. And that's when I guess, mid 2006, I was already traveling around, but that's when I was like, okay, I need to get that's when I decided to get the cargo van and start living out of my van, staying in Walmart parking lots, and just so last year, and it's been almost doubling every year. The money's just been getting really, really, a lot better. And last year, I'll tell you a tip of advice too about how I upload videos too in a minute. But last year on the road, I put out, I don't know, maybe from about February, March, probably for like 8 straight months, I put one video out every Saturday or Sunday, every week. I didn't miss a week. That was the hardest year I've ever worked ever. I don't know if I want to do that again that much. Getting older, you know what I mean? Or I'm going to get some help editing. But I will give this advice for anyone that's editing videos on the road. You can always find a Walmart. All right. Here's something crazy about Walmart that I found out, that all of their Wi-Fi is what do you call that? Fiber optic Wi-Fi. And you can have the fastest Wi-Fi. Like we've got this like ultra speed, Wi-Fi. We got 2 Wi-Fis. It's one Wi-Fi, but there's 2 different speeds you can log in at. And one of them's pretty quick. I can upload, in 4K, a 15-minute video in about an hour and a half to 2 hours with that. It's pretty quick. But at Walmart, you can upload that same video in 15 minutes.
What?
Dang.
Nobody go to McDonald's. You can't. McDonald's is like 8 hours. I mean, it's using, any of these other places. But for whatever reason, you go to Walmart and you just do some shopping and have your video, your phone. I can always shop for 15 minutes in Walmart, right? So literally, I uploaded every one of those videos last year. I'd get on my GPS, find a Walmart, and you can sit in a parking lot and do it. It's not as good, but if you go inside, man, you can just connect to that Wi-Fi and upload your videos, and they're done fast. So that's a little
golden tip.
Nice.
Yeah, right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, Kurt. Sorry, my gargling gravel over here.
Say you good,
Too many cigars.
Yeah, and whiskey.
Smoking whiskey and drinking cigars. Kurt,
there's a lot of people out there that are starting their YouTube channels with rocks, or anything for that matter. The only advice I can give you if you're thinking about starting one is to don't wait. You've heard this, people hear this, do it now. Don't wait until next week or the week after that. Get going now and expect good results, but that's probably not going to happen right off. It's just, man, I mean, I put it up today, and when you got a good video, when you got a decent thumbnail, and it's like you load it, and after 30 minutes, it's 10 of 10. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I don't know if you got the YouTube studio, but you can tell if your video, and man, I put the video out today, and it's like, it's 10 of 10, and it's not just 10 of 10, it's a really low 10 of 10, and which what that means for people that don't know, it's out of the last 10 videos I put out, it's performing at the very last of all those 10 videos. It's 10 of 10. You want to see 1 of 10, but I guess if you're going to get 1 of 10 every time, you would really be growing. So it's something that I've had to learn to not do, is check analytics all day long, like, and looking, you know what I'm saying? You'll
absolutely.
Right now, I'll tell you what's happening right now. So I've been doing Instagram. I never paid too much attention to Instagram. Like, I don't post daily. I've had my Instagram account for probably 5 years, and I would post, like, on average 1 post a week. That's not good for Instagram growth. They say 2 to 3 posts per day. And I mean, I never do that. At max, I might do 1 every 2 or 3 days. And when I post an Instagram post, I'm really picky. I want it to only be the best of the best stuff. So now introduce these reels, these shorts, right? Y'all, I know you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
So about 2 months ago, they don't do this with every channel, but I don't know. I just got lucky, and I got this bonus thing. It said, if you can do if you can get 1.1 million views in a month, you'll get $800 bonus from Instagram, right? For reels, just for the shorts. So 2 months ago, I started doing these shorts, and because it's shorts and it doesn't go on my main page, I mean, I was still picky and I used the neat music, and you want to use trending music, and but I would upload like 3 or 4 or 5 of them a day, and I started doing that, and I started getting a little interaction with these things. And the first month, I think I got like $250 of the 800. I think I got like 200,000 or 300,000 views in that month. So I made a little bit of that bonus. All right. The next month they offered it again. I'm like, oh, cool. They must, this is a monthly thing right now. So that was last month. All of a sudden I had a video go viral. That video's got now this is still real. So it's not like a YouTube view.
Yeah.
It's like a TikTok view count, right? But still, they're counts. I think one of those has 130 million views right now.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's insane.
multiple million, over a million. One's got 10 million, one's got 5 million, and they all have 200,000 or 300,000. So they went viral. This is crazy. So like 3 weeks ago, I hit 100,000. 100,000 followers that's kind of a neat number, right? So I hit 100,000 followers on Instagram, which was cool. And I hit that about 3 weeks ago, and to over probably tonight or by the morning, I'm at 500,000 in 3 weeks. It's I'm getting at this point. It's kind of neat because I've had some people ask me, how's it feel to be going viral right now? Like, what it feels like? It feels like finally all this work's paying off, which is not paid.
Yeah,
but like
absolutely
it feels good, not in an ego way. I could care less how many followers I got, but it feels good to know that what you're doing is getting noticed. You know what I'm saying? And all the hard work that, like I said earlier, all the hard work that people don't see, they probably will never see. It's neat, but yeah, right now it's hitting 25 to 30,000 followers per day. So it's
wow.
I'm sure,
man,
just gonna slam. Who knows?
Or not.
Or not, or it might go up.
Right.
I can show you. This is exciting. I'll show you something. And you guys, I'm sure you guys have an awesome podcast. I'm sure you're going to get this. Like I say, it's just one of those things you got to keep pushing, and you'll see it go up and down and up and down, and all of a sudden. So I'm waiting on my YouTube channel to do this. I'm waiting to look at those analytics and just see a flat line with that straight up, YouTube yet, but check this out. I'll show you guys let me see here. I'll go to my studio. I'm sure y'all know about Social Blade app.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I do.
You can check up on all your buddies and see what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story. You guys heard of Dan Hurd, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Dan is an awesome guy. He's one of the most coolest guys. He's a super humble guy. And he does more gold videos, and I think there's a bigger, more niche in that. There's more people that are going to watch those than Gems and Minerals, I think, right now at least. And but for like 2 years, we were halfway communicating, just this much. And for 2 years, like I was up here and he was down here, and he was gaining on me, and it was like, and it was good because for me, I don't get like, I'm happy for that person. Especially if there's a good person like Dan, you got to be happy for him. You can't not be happy. But at the same time, I was like, it kind of put a fire under my butt to like want to work harder, because make it hard for him to pass me, right? So he's like coming up. And last year he gets right here and he passes me. And I'm like, well, it's happened. And it was almost like a sigh of relief. I was like, you know what? It's not as bad as I thought. He's got more followers than me, whatever. And it was good. It was like nice because I could breathe. And I'm like, I could let that go. It was kind of nice. So then 2 weeks, like literally 2 weeks after that, he explodes. And he's working his way towards 1 million followers. I mean, the dude's getting 2 to 3 times views per day as I am now. And that's those algorithms. That's those YouTube algorithms. They blow up and they blow up. But it's like this one on Instagram, which, that could be good. I think they're going to start paying more for the reels, but check out this, this is my graph on my phone. You can see I was getting like 50 per day followers, and it's just going up.
That's going crazy.
of fun, yeah, when you're I hate to say it, I wake up every morning and I'm like, "Ooh, how many did I get?"
Right. Want to see the graph going.
It's so cool.
Yeah. So
If you,
anybody that's doing any of this, just keep up with it. Post. You got to post good videos and as many as you can. I would say quality is better than quantity, but you got to have a little bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
absolutely.
advice.
And don't get discouraged. I had like less than 500 subscribers after my first year on YouTube, and it took quite some time for it to take off.
yeah.
And
Yep.
Dan Hurd, if you happen to be watching, you're still invited to come on the podcast.
Yes, Dan Hurd,
Anytime.
you're one of my other Rockhound heroes.
yeah, I'll tell you about Dan. Here's what's something funny. So as I was traveling around for the last couple of years, I talk just like I'm talking now. This is, my I don't have a game face necessarily. Well, I do. I guess that's what I'm getting at. But I just kind of go back and forth, whatever. And right when I start to film, I kind of go into this mode, and it's just like everything else disappears, and I'm just filming. And I've gotten pretty good at it. There's a certain amount of professionalism that I've learned to bring with that, right? And I notice it's kind of funny that when I do that, every now and then you look over and people's like, "Oh, who is that? He's good. What's he doing?" Because that professionalism comes across. And I've noticed that. Well, when I met Dan, I'm like, this dude, like when he does it, the whole room watches, because it's like, man, who is this guy? Like when you see him doing it in person, like, it's just like, man, he's got a gift. And he really does. I mean, he told me he was a teacher all his life, so I guess that helps. But man, he's got this game face. Like, I used to do a lot of surf competitions, and there was this guy, Andrew Silvani, and like in what we call free surfing, I could outsurf him every day, free surfing. But when it went to a contest, he turned into this like just animal, right? And you couldn't. It was like, what's going on with this guy in his head? That reminds me of Dan. Dan's like, all of a sudden he turns on and he starts, his filming, and you're just like, this guy's good. You can't help but to just watch him and laugh. And I don't mean laugh. You're giggling because you're just astounded, like, look at this guy, So if Dan's watching, I'll have to send him the little link to this video. You guys can have him. He's a good dude.
Please do.
I would love that. Dan Hurd is like one of the actual like contributing factors as to why I got into rock hounding in the first place. Actually, like I saw one of his garnet videos like years and years and years ago, and I did some research and learned that I'm not too far from the Ruby Range in Montana, which was actually misnamed way back when because they were finding like millions of garnets and they thought they were rubies, and then I came back and got them appraised on the East Coast, and they're like, yeah, these aren't rubies, but they're still valuable almandine garnets. So I got super into gem panning, and yeah, that Dan Hurd was literally the reason that happened.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Well, Theo, you still have your show and tell.
I do, and I will rapid fire through these because anyway, okay, so we'll start with this. Because we have the maestro of crystals in the house tonight, I brought my favorite crystal specimens. Well, all except for one, because I was actually in my show and tell 2 weeks ago. If I had known, I should have held up and brought it this week, but I'm sorry. So this is the only one that I purchased. This is amphibole quartz. I think it's also called angel phantom quartz, and the red color inside of it is actually lithium. I think it comes out of Brazil. It's some very cool stuff.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Pretty.
Really cool stuff. And yeah, it's just got a depth to it that's just, it's so, like video and pictures just don't do it justice. It's some amazing stuff. And then we got, sorry.
That's my favorite material. That actually, now I don't know how true this is. You might have to fact check me, but I've always heard that also those inclusions are a type of what's the stuff? Asbestos.
Yeah, I've heard that also.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's true. That like it's not going to hurt you in the crystalline form. You could lick it all day long, but if you were to, to polish it or sand it down, you could be in some trouble. But yeah, so you're good when it comes to that. But yeah, I think it's that as well.
Yeah,
so awesome. Yeah, I remember
it's
the first
so cool.
stuff. I had a barrel of it, Tucson, and I mean, mind blowing. Yeah,
it's so cool. It's probably my favorite type of quartz. It's just it's so crazy. And then, okay, this is my other one, which feels just laughable now after the ones you showed earlier. This is my biggest quartz crystal I've ever
Yay! Go Theo!
Which feels, again, just hilarious after seeing those. Which is, again, is funny. And this is probably more a testament that I don't know what the heck I'm doing when it comes to quartz. Because, I mean, Montana, we got the Boulder batholiths, and there's some crazy quartz that comes out of the Boulder batholiths. I mean, just monstrous smoky quartz crystals. I just don't know how to find them. I know where they are, but I don't know how to dig in a way where I can actually find crystals. We found a bunch of like broken crystals and float before, but yeah, I know that I've seen firsthand like people showing me and pictures that there's some monstrous smoky quartz in Montana. I just don't know, and I know the sites where you can go to find them. I just don't know how to dig into the hard rock to get them out. So for now, this is my best quartz crystal find. This one is one of my favorites. It's little. I have found bigger by far. This is a Bear Canyon agate from Montana also. We found way bigger ones and probably nicer ones as far as the agate goes. But this is definitely the nicest crystal specimen that I've found from Bear Canyon. And I doubt the camera's going to show it very well, but those are actually all smoky amethyst crystals.
Beautiful.
And those are
Nice.
black and white fortification agates. And you find a lot of white druzy and black druzy or big botryoidal pockets. Sometimes you see like actual like bigger crystal structure that you could actually call them like crystals and not just druzy. But and they get huge. There's some really, really big ones, but we've never seen one with crystals of that size from that site. They usually are, again, just like tiny little druzies. And we found a good amount of smoky quartz. We found a little bit of amethyst, but we've never seen smoky amethyst over there before. So this one's one of my favorite finds, not because of size, but just because what it is. It's so cool. This one is where I'm stretching a little bit to make it fit into the realm of crystal. So this is one of my favorite pieces of ammonite that I've ever worked. Again, we hunted this one. I collected this myself in Montana. This thing is just so vibrant. It's one of my favorite ones that I've worked. Again, we found much bigger pieces and probably better pieces, but this one's just one of my favorites. It just worked so willingly, and it's got such a good spectrum of color. Trying to get that red to show. There's some really nice reds in there, and purple and green. Yeah, I love ammonite, and it's one of my favorite things to hunt for. And then lastly, this is actually from my video that's going up on Saturday. So I love Montana agates so much. We do a lot of Montana agate hunting. We find some really nice ones. This is maybe one of the craziest Montana agates I've ever found. I have to get like something behind it so that it kind of. Oh man,
it is not showing up.
I was going to
say,
color.
yeah.
We
all know that that's gorgeous.
It's like seriously like a purple agate, and I've never seen that in Montana agates. And it's so funny because we found like 8, 9. I think we've got one. I'm trying to think of what the biggest one was. I think it was 9 pounds is my biggest one. But I mean, people find like 15, 20 pound Montana agates on the Yellowstone. So based on size, this isn't really crazy, but if you see it in person, it's like royal purple. The zoom camera is totally mangling this poor thing because it's so beautiful. But yeah, I've never even heard of a purple Montana agate before. So that video is coming out Saturday, as well as my announcement video for the Makers Challenge. So everyone get excited because it's going to be really, really good.
Whenever you showed us that picture of that agate, it reminded me of the Kyle. What's that?
The Holly
purple?
Blue.
Yes.
Holly Blue.
That's exactly what I thought it was.
Yeah, I literally squealed in the video when I found it. Like, no shame, full on squealing when I found that. I was so excited.
Nice.
When you know it's good.
And then I forgot to bring it. I guess probably because I already had 5 other show and tells. But also in that same day, we found a pure black mossy limb cast about that big. It was a good day.
Wow.
Good day on the Yellowstone.
Nice.
Bryan, if you ever want to hunt on the Yellowstone, you let me know because I would love to take you out.
Yep. Yeah, anytime. If you guys ever see me traveling and notice, hey, I'm nearby you, just contact me and we'll do some video for sure. Yeah, whatever. If we can.
I'm surfing.
Heck yeah, man.
I'll teach you how to polish obsidian.
Yeah.
We can go out for ammonites.
Yeah. That'd be cool. I didn't realize they got that good there in Montana. Wow.
Yeah, it's actually it's part of the same formation as the Alberta stuff. The Alberta stuff is better, but that's not saying a whole lot. The Alberta Ammonite is like the best in the country, but yeah. We do have some really good Ammonite in Montana.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for your show and tell. Mine's super easy. My show and tell is literally this Geiger counter that I got for free. It's an antique civil defense Geiger counter, and I think I might have told the story on one of the previous podcasts, but basically someone moved out, they left it behind, and nobody claimed it, so free, all free. And then, I actually got a gift from Jared over there at currently Rockhounding. He sent some Automite, Automite, and that actually put off more of a read than the whatever they have on the side of the machine that they use to test to make sure everything works. And so it was an interesting video. It was interesting to see like what materials I had here in the rock room like that would actually read. And I think the megalodon tooth was probably the most surprising of the weird stuff that actually read. So that was cool. But that was my show and tell. And now we get into words of wisdom. Now that we are coming close to the end of the podcast, Bryan.
Yeah, I'm completely fine with the time, but I looked down. I'm like, oh my gosh, we've been on here almost 2.5 hours.
it flies. It flies quick.
You're having
felt like half hour.
Yeah.
When you get talking, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Do you have a words of wisdom, Bryan?
Oh my gosh. My brain's kind of fried right now. That's from talking.
You dispensed a lot of
I was
wisdom.
gonna say, you could pull any moment out of the last 2.5 hours.
You know what? I'll go down, not a rabbit hole, but I go down a spiritual hole on that. Which I say I don't want to open up a can of worms, but I will say this, that we all have different beliefs. So I'm not gonna, say go with this or go with that belief, but I think this is one universal one anyway, that in life and in doing YouTube videos and rock hounding and everything, being positive and expecting good results. I think I can't say how the magic occurs. I have some ideas. That's for another show, but it definitely, I can see in my experience in life, by having a desire for something, you got to put in some effort, but really having that desire, knowing you're going to get there to it. It's just a matter of when you're going to get to it. You let the universe, let God, whatever you want to call that, let it give it to you at that moment. But just expect it though, and stay positive, and don't worry about other people, what they're doing, and if you can do those little things, treat everyone as you want to be treated. I guess that's my it's not my quote, the golden rule, but I think that's one to live by, like treat other people as you would want to be treated. And I think you do that. You'll be surprised how many great things come your way. I think that our bodies are infused with some type of energetic realm as well, for sure, that when we, you want to call it subconsciously, you can't say that, a couple of years ago, I told this girl that I was talking to a little bit that I was broke one day. I had no money. I was like, I'm broke. And she goes, don't say that. And I'm like, well, you're going to manifest more, being broke more. And I'm like, that sounds silly. But I've come to understand that that's not so silly, that we are kind of like magnets to whatever we subconsciously put in our thoughts, whether you think you want it or not. So if you're thinking about bad stuff all day long, then there's a good chance bad stuff's going to come happen to you. So I've really learned those rules to live by, and I try to do my best to, make the right decisions. Even to the point now where I'm in a grocery store and I pick up a bottle of ketchup and I decide I don't want it. I don't put it back where it shouldn't be. I take it all the way back because I figured that when you do the least of those things, you're going to be given even more things. You know what I'm saying? So I try to make the right decisions in every part of my life. No one's going to be perfect. I'm not perfect, but just try to do the right thing all the time. And I think you'll be surprised how much that'll swirl into a crazy, awesome life for anyone that goes along with those that kind of form of living.
Love
Absolutely.
it. Sure. Nice. Awesome. Yeah, that's like a good things magnet. And I think you're a light magnet too, because you got these little light things following you around.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think that my words of wisdom, like they can tack on to yours somewhat, Bryan. For mine, don't rush it, don't phone it in, don't muscle it,
Yeah. Yeah.
make no video before it's time, make no project before it's time. I ran out of time last week to get my iris agate video out. I really wanted to release it last week and it didn't happen. And I knew that I was going to have to undercut my quality. And I relish doing some of the little nuancy things in the editing and, having the music just so and that sort of thing. And I was just caving in with this time pressure. And I was like, whoa. You know what? Next week is fine. And I totally value the great advice that be consistent, try to get that video out every week and everything, but then you do quality work. And if you're not, maybe you should reel yourself a little bit back in, I don't want to phone it in. So I'm sorry about not getting that video out last week. All of you viewers that were waiting for it. Be patient and you'll see it this weekend. Yeah, that's my words of wisdom. How about you, Kurt?
So I wasn't sure what it was. Oh, I had one, but then after this, it just kind of went away. So I'm just going to use one that I've used in the past. But if you are new to rock hounding and you pick up a rock and you love it and you show it around, and other people don't really think so, don't care about what they think. As long as you're drawn to it, as long as you love it, as long as you're happy that you found it, that's all that matters. And just keep it because you found it and you love it. And yeah, so
Even if it's lever right, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Someone was joking years ago at Graves Mountain, and they were like, I heard someone say, "Hey man, what is this?" And I overheard the conversation. The guy was like, "Oh, that's leverite." And for a year, I thought, man, what is this leverite stuff? And then someone tried to get me on it, yeah, leave it right there. And I'm like, oh, that's what that was. Yeah.
Theo, what's your words of wisdom?
I think mine would be stay humble and stay hungry. And what I mean by that is just, I don't know, it ties in really well with what Bryan was talking about, but just you get, okay, how do I word this? Whatever you put out into the universe, you're gonna get back. So it's best to just be giving, be caring, be nice, you boost people up. You want to be everyone else's cheerleader because good things tend to happen to those people. And the stay hungry part is never be content to just stop learning more. I one of my favorite things about rocks is that there's so many facets, whether it's rocks or wow, I didn't even mean to make that pun, but there you go. There's facets. Sorry. So you got your entire agate world, you've got your entire crystal world, you've got your entire precious gemstone world, you have your fossil world, which is an entire universe unto itself. There's so much information that I don't think any one person could know everything in their lifetime. So staying hungry, and the more you learn, the more you just fall in love with this hobby. It's amazing. There's so much to do, there's so much to learn, and it's just so engaging, and I love it. So yeah, stay humble, stay hungry.
Thank you. Thank you everyone else for your words of wisdom. And mine's going to be persistent and find a way to do something that you love. And if you want to do it full time, find a way to make it full time, because if it makes you happy and it makes you stress free, go for it, because it's not worth stressing. And that's my word of wisdom. Karen.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Bryan, for coming on tonight. It's been such a blast. And we know that there are more stories, so hopefully you'll come on again and we can chit chat for another couple of hours.
I should show you my backyard or something, Yeah,
This is effortless. Is there anything that you'd like to send the viewers off with, where they can find you on social media if they haven't already and whatnot?
Yeah, really just the Crystal Collector, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. That's the only three that I focus on at the moment. But yeah, so I'm trying to stay busy on all three of those. Yeah. And I will plug this. I've got so on Facebook, they started this thing up, and you can do a private group and you can charge like a monthly subscription cost for your group. Okay. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And it wasn't for the money necessarily. I wanted to be able to have a group that I could do giveaways with, right? And I figured, well, it'd be cool if some of the so I chose the 99 cent per month, thing. And I was thinking, if I could just get 200 or 300 people per month, that would pay for the giveaways and the shipping, and I could give away some really cool stuff. So now the group's up to like 1,500 members at this point. Of course, Facebook takes a cut of that money, but it's to the point now that I hired a moderator out for the group, and I'm giving away I'm not trying to make any money with it, but the bigger the group grows, the better the giveaways get. I can afford to give away $500 to $1,000 a month worth of rocks, with that and shipping, and still break even. So, or something like that, but that's a fun group. It's called the Crystal Clubhouse, but you can't go to Facebook and search the Crystal Clubhouse. You can, and it'll show up, but you can't join that way. You have to go to the Crystal Collector Facebook page and hit, I think it used to be supporter. It might be subscriber now. It's a little blue button beneath the top of the page, but that's a fun thing. And, but the neatest thing is that it's becoming a really tight knit group, and it's such, everybody in there is so cool. And, I'm starting to do, like, anytime I do a private dig, that's not like the Missouri dig's one thing, because we can have 2,000 or 3,000 people show up at that dig and still have space. But most digs, like almost 9 of 10, it's a limited amount of people that can show up. So I'm doing lots of private digs, and I invite the clubhouse first. I mean, we probably did 15 digs last year. Almost no one knows about unless you're in that club. We're doing a clubhouse dig at the Turquoise Mine next month. We're doing a special dig at the Fisher Mountain, not the public area. The owner's letting me take people back to the private area, the commercial area. So I'm doing a clubhouse dig there. For instance, the Missouri dig. If you're a clubhouse member, you can get in a day early to that dig on Friday. The only way you're going to know about that is if you're in the clubhouse. So it's a pretty neat thing happening. Yeah.
Go sign up.
Do it.
You
That
know
is
what
awesome.
you must do now. And while you're at it, hit us up on our email so that you can join us on our Discord server. And we are, hitting our show and tells every day and chatting back and forth in between podcasts. And that's a whole bunch of fun. Also, you can send your show and tells to that same email address and be part of our viewer show and tell for the next one of those coming up soon. And very soon. And thank you for joining us for our 1-year anniversary birthday show. Yoo-hoo. And here's to another year of that. And so rock on, and we will see you next week. Thanks again for joining us. See ya.
Rock on.
Done.